What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. Today's video, we're taking a look at the team that took me up over 200 ELO in one day to hit veteran rank in the Spring Cup. We got Empoleon, Tropius, and the secret sauce, we got Kingdra. Now, I prefer all non-shadows here. I like the bulk. The Kingdra's on the safe swap here, so I prefer not to have it as a shadow, but if you want to use a shadow, I don't mind it. It just doesn't tank moves as well. And getting that extra, energy from having the bulk to be able to get to some of those moves at the end of some matchups can be really huge. So let's check out these games here, starting off with Empoleon into a Ferrothorn. Pretty common lead here, gotta be honest. And what I like to do is I'll stay in and play this out for a little while. Empoleon can definitely tank one move, and the opponent is forced to throw on bad timing if they want to get their move off before you. So this trainer, however, is going for Mirror Shot baits. Now, if you're ever on the other side of this, don't bait with Mirror Shot. Just go for the Power Whip. It's only one additional bullet seed. It's not worth, because I'm not shielding the first one no matter what. Now, the opponent goes for another Mirror Shot. I mean, maybe they're trying to fish for an attack drop, but this really flips the matchup much further in my favor here. And these battles, this is the two sets that were before I hit. So these are up in like the 2400 ELO range here. So the Power Whip finally comes through. I do decide to shield it, trying to get the farm down here. This much energy on Empoleon in this meta is deadly. Opponent comes in with the Dugong, and now I have to basically commit to the Dugong matchup as well, because neither of my back two Pokemon are particularly comfy into Dugong, especially not the Dugong with energy. Kingdra does do okay here, but it takes so long to get to its moves, and the Dragon Breaths really don't add up the way you'd hope they would. So I'm looking to go for a Drill Peck here regardless. I just want to be able to get this move off before the opponent can throw a move at me here, and then we're going to be able to get even shields, but the opponent overfarms by a ton. Now, I can live any one move with my Kingdra, and I would prefer not to play the game of having to shield with the Tropius. So I'm going to come in with my Kingdra and commit to a farm down here. And then depending on what they bring in, I may pivot to Tropius, or I may stay in with Kingdra and commit. The opponent actually goes for a Drill Run here, which is really surprising. I would have expected them to go for the Icy Wind, but it looks like they try to go for that Drill Run just for the extra small amount of damage that it does, which makes sense. Opponent is going to come in with a Pelipper here, and they have been given the Octazooka debuff. I'm not going to lie, my debuff luck is still not that great. But the opponent also, I don't believe, even built up to the Hurricane there. I think it's 9 to the Hurricane, and they only went up to 8, so I knew this was a Weather Ball. I'm going to let the Weather Ball go, completely let the Kingdra go down, and Tropius is now going to come in. And honestly, you guys saw my video about a week and a half ago, right at the beginning of the cup here. Tropius is a monster in this meta. Opponent's still going for resisted Weather Balls. This trainer just really likes baiting, I guess, and then they concede, so good game. All right, we're getting into the next battle here. Empoleon versus Tropius, another grass type on the lead. Tropius is not so bad as well because you resist the air slashes. Leaf Blades can come out pretty quick though, but once again, just like the Ferrothorn, the opponent has to throw on poor timing in order to get their move off before me. So I'm gonna go for Drill Peck after 4 because I know I can. But the opponent then brings in the Dugong, and I throw with absurdly bad timing there on my own. I'm still working on switch time. You know, when switches are involved, sometimes I can get it, sometimes it's just like all of my sense of timing goes out the window. So that time was not so great, but I'm committing to this, and I was trying to catch the Drill Run there, but the opponent shows great patience and holds on to the energy, and now that I've swapped in, they're going to be able to Icy Wind me twice here. Now, the Icy Winds by themselves don't do a ton, but with those Ice Shards, I'm already at a half HP, so I can no-shield this, I know that. And what I'm going to try to do here is either farm this Dugong all the way down, or I'm going to let my Empoleon get it. Now, I get a full farm down here with a little bit of HP. They come in with their Tropius. Because the Air Slash is 3 turns, I'm able to throw 1 Dragon Breath and then launch the Outrage to do some decent chip damage here. It is Tropius. It's fairly bulky. But with the Empoleon's going to come in, and I don't wait out my switch timer like an idiot. Now, had I waited out my switch timer, I could have swapped out of this. And I wouldn't have had to lose my whole Empoleon. So now I've got to really pull some tricks out of my hat. The opponent even baits with a power-up punch. You know how bad that feels? It's like being baited by a Bubble Beam. But because the opponent didn't throw the Icy Wind the first time, at this point what I'll do is I will just commit to a hard farm down here. My opponent's Tropius will not be able to withstand all of these Aerial Aces, but the first thing I'm going to do is go for a Leaf Blade bait here, just because having to go for a little bit less energy might be helpful here. The opponent does shield it. I could certainly go for another Leaf Blade bait here if I want to, but at this point, I'm so close to 2 Aerial Aces that I don't want to take the risk of them calling it. And now they go for their Aerial Ace. Does this KO? That's the question. Tropius hangs on with less than 1 fast move's worth of HP and able to get to the Aerial Ace. We're going to be able to take this game from the opponent here. Well played. Basically, with this team, Kingdra either wins you switch, or in this situation, terrible lead, right? I got to swap straight to Kingdra. Either I'm going to lose switch, or I'm going to get switch, and I'm going to put my shields down. Now, in this case, it's Roserade, right? Roserade's not going to be able to get to a Leaf Storm and a Weather Ball, so I can safely shield the first move. The worst case scenario is I shield the Weather Ball, but they just land a Weather Ball afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and shield just in case it's Leaf Storm. I need switch here, now that the opponent has given me the opportunity. If the opponent can't withstand the Dragon Breaths, you can win switch, you should take it, especially if you get a bad matchup. Now, the other thing to keep in mind too is if you end up in a bad lead, but, you know, let's say, for example, they came in with something that I wasn't able to flip with Kingdra, and I know it. Then just save the shield for Tropius, because Tropius in this meta, with shield advantage, is an incredibly good sweeper. Has the perfect amount of fast move pressure on those air slashes to get good farm. And also, the Leaf Blade Aerial Ace combo is extremely potent in this meta, because it hits just about everything. The opponent here concedes probably was weak to Tropius in the back. Getting into the next game here, we've got Empoleon versus another Empoleon. So the way that I like to play this one out here is I'm going to go for the Hydro Cannon right away and look to see who wins CMP. In this case, my opponent wins CMP. No matter who wins CMP in the next one, I'm going to go ahead and try to catch the next Hydro Cannon on Kingdra, as it is double resisted. I would much rather take that there than put my Empoleon down to a point where it's already going to be taken out very, very, very soon. So we get the catch here because, you know, Kingdra's just a magnet for double resisted energy, because why not? I just kind of figured they were going to throw right away and try to CMP. So the opponent is staying in here. There is something that I learned here. If your Kingdra has a slight attack weight, it may get a breakpoint against the Empoleon. So you check your Kingdra's IVs. If it's not, you know, the highest bulk, you may have an opportunity to get a good bulk point, or a break point, I should say. And what a break point is it's a certain level of attack or defense interaction where your fast move does 1 more HP. So let's say at 0 attack, the Kingdra does, you know, let's say, excuse me, 3 damage with the Dragon Breaths. Maybe at 1 attack it does 4. Doesn't mean it's going to do 5 damage at 2 attack, but it just means that 1 point of attack pushes it over the edge to be able to do an extra point of damage per move. So stuff like that is good to know. And now the opponent falls for a Leaf Blade bait, because I kind of have to bait here in order to be able to take them out. So I'm going to go for the Aerial Ace now. That's going to take out Roserade. The opponent comes in with the Empoleon. I immediately pivot into my own Empoleon, fire off the Hydro Cannon. That's going to be enough to KO after that Kingdra farm. That's a good game. Getting into the next battle, we got Empoleon on the lead versus another Empoleon. We're going to do the same old thing. And I've literally done the same thing. Whether the opponent over farms or not, I always look to try to catch that second Hydro Cannon. Usually I lose CMP. You can see that my Empoleon's a pretty high rank. It's got really good IVs for an Empoleon. And the Kingdra's pretty okay too. Tropius was the best that I could get from when it was out in GoFest of 22, so I just happened to save the best one I got. But gonna catch the the Hydro Cannon rather. The water move, yes, on the Kingdra. Empoleon is gonna stay in once again. I don't know if they do this just to try and get the Drill Peck off and get the shield, but you see how low it is now? I could shield the opponent, like the move should have snuck through, but apparently it didn't do the damage until before they threw, so I don't know. Damage registration in this game is weird. I'm gonna full send, or I'm gonna full send. I'm gonna go for the Octazooka here and go for the debuff, but unfortunately I don't get it, and also my phone decides it wants to go back to the home screen while I'm trying to do that, and I hate when that happens. Happens to me quite often on iOS. It's actually quite maddening. But I'm going to come in with my Tropius here and get a farm down. Again, this is why I love the Tropius so much, is because that air slash move pressure is allowing me to get so much farm. Shadow Ball going to do some damage, but saving the one shield that I have. I didn't want to shield up because I wasn't quite sure what they were going to have yet. But the opponent has the Roserade, so I'm going to go immediately here for an Aerial Ace. And keep in mind, I did have some energy sitting on my Empoleon. I'm going to bring it in. And the opponent tries to bring in their Empoleon to catch the move. And because it has basically no HP, they're unfortunately not able to withstand a Steel Wing and they go down, which allows me to get to 2 moves here. Roserade is not going to be anywhere near 2 Weather Balls, as they had just only gotten to the first one. So 1 Drill Peck, 2 Drill Peck, and that's going to take out the Roserade. And because the Roserade's got a fair amount of HP, we're going to hit the button.
Boom!
And that's going to take out Roserade. Good game. Now getting into the next battle here, got Empoleon on the lead versus a Ferrothorn yet again. So here we go again, same old thing. We're gonna just play this out for a bit, and honestly, I don't expect this person, like, the last matchup was literally gonna be the only time that I ever have to deal with somebody baiting me with Mirror Shot. Most trainers are going to run Flash Cannon over Mirror Shot, but I did see a fair amount of people running Mirror Shot. Just run Flash Cannon. It's genuinely just the better move here. So, going to be able to get this move off, and I'm going to catch the move on my Tropius here, because I noticed that the trainer likes to throw as soon as they get their move. I had a pretty strong feeling that I was going to be able to get that catch in. So, I took advantage of that opportunity, took the double resisted energy, saved a lot of energy on my Empoleon here, and I'm going to go for a Leaf Blade with the Roserade, because I have a very strong feeling that because it's Roserade, they're going to want to shield it, and they always do. So we're going to get some more damage in here, and I could farm this down with Tropius, I could farm it down with Kingdra or Empoleon. I'm going to let this go, and then what we're going to do is we're going to bring in the Empoleon and get the farm down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect farm down. Now the opponent is going to bring in probably their Ferrothorn again, but having 2 Drill Pecks means that we're going to be able to eliminate it or take a shield from the opponent here if they still have one left. Drill Peck number 1, and I'm going to go for it right away just because I wasn't sure if I was going to live this Bullet Seed. I just wanted to be on the safe side and just take it out. Then the opponent's going to come in with Tropius. Now this is tricky here because if I throw the Octazooka and they call it, I lose. If I throw the Outrage and they shield it, I lose. So what I do here is I shield the Leaf Blade, maybe make them think that I'm going to throw Octazooka because I want to get the debuff, right? I'm going to bait him, right? Absolutely not. We throw the Outrage and we get that on the Tropius, brings it low. The opponent tried to call the bait, but it didn't work. And we're going to be able to get this farm down here and take this game. Well played to the opponent. Some games literally do just come down to these 50-50 bait calls. So, you know, sometimes you just have to take a gamble, and if you win, good. It feels good, but if you miss it, then unfortunate. But so the opponent has an Abomasnow in this next game here, and they safe swap into a Tentacruel. Tentacruel is fairly, you know, not great for both of my backline, only because of the fact that I have to land the Outrage with the Kingdra in order to really flip it. So I stay in because I resist all this damage, and once the opponent throws their Scald and empties out their energy, I'm going to come in with Kingdra and look to farm all the way down. Now, the opponent farmed up to what could be a Sludge Wave. I'm going to shield. I'm not going to shield. I'm going to learn that it's actually 9. Okay, so let me explain why I just completely bamboozled myself. I originally thought that it was just straight 10 to the first Sludge Wave, but I find out that it's 9 after you throw the Scald. So I kind of messed that up. And because I messed that up, the opponent was able to align their Lantern to my Empoleon and I lose. So next game, we get another Tropius lead here. And in that game, had I just shielded that in one switch, I probably would have been in a much better spot. That was just me trying to call a move, and it wasn't the right. It was just like the exact same thing as the last game, right? So my opponent now brings in their Tentacruel. Gonna look to do something pretty similar here. Look to throw some energy. Maybe even get a shield, possibly, and then bring in the Kingdra here to try and finish off the Tentacruel. So now that it's that low, right, even a Sludge Wave from this range, I hope isn't enough. I'm going to say, I hope it's not. And, no, they're running Scald Acid Spray, and they get the debuff, which is unfortunate, but it happens. So next, we're going to go for, the opponent's going to come in with whatever they come in with, probably the Tropius again. I'm just going to go for the Outrage here. No real reason to debuff, and the reason why you don't really want to throw a debuff move at this point in the game is because the opponent can swap out if they get the debuff, which really, you know, maybe has a good strategic value, but you're also flipping a coin and getting, you know, a very risky play. So, opponent comes in with a Poliwrath to try and close with 2 shields. I have Tropius, and Tropius is looking pretty strong here. I just cannot take an Icy Wind because, oh man, double super effective ice damage on Tropius is painful. So, with his good timing, remember I'm throwing on 1, 3, or 5 in this situation on odds for the 3-turn to 2-turn moves. Leaf Blades are going to start getting the shields. I have nearly a Drill Peck, I believe, on Empoleon, or I'm close to one, I think. So worst case scenario, I can try to survive some counters and get that off. What I really need to make sure of here is the opponent doesn't try to catch a move. That would be the worst case scenario if they catch this Leaf Blade. So 1, 2, 3, and I'm waiting. I'm making sure that they throw that 5th counter so I can tap on that Leaf Blade, make sure that they can't catch. We get rid of the Poliwrath, and Tropius is too low and goes down, and the opponent concedes. Good game. All right, we're getting into the next battle. An Empoleon Mirror. The opponent rocking that shiny Flex Empoleon, still playing it the same exact way as before, however. And because of that, what we're going to do is the same thing. Like I said, same thing. We're just, when you find something that works, just consistently do the same thing. And more often than not, it's going to work out in your favor. So what I'm going to do here is I am still going to go ahead and I'm going to swap out as soon as we get to the second Hydro Cannon. And the opponent instantly switches as well into a Tropius, which is deadly for me because, again, if they shield the Outrage, this is going to be very difficult for me to take out. So I do want to go for the Octazooka here, and I'm hoping that maybe they shield this thinking they need to win switch or something, and they let it go, and I don't get the debuff. That is the worst case scenario of baiting and why you genuinely just shouldn't bait. Because I make a bozo play like that, now the opponent can take out my Kingdra. I didn't really get much out of it other than a lot of damage onto the Empoleon, or not, oh my goodness, the opponent's Tropius. There we go. The words came out at some point. Leaf Blade is going to get shields, and then the opponent swaps in their Empoleon in order to get my second shield, and I'm going to commit both shields. I have a lot of energy on Empoleon. I cannot just let that go, because this energy always goes somewhere. It's not like it's not going to do any damage. So, going to go for the Hydro Cannon. We take out the opponent's Empoleon. What are they going to have in the back? We're going to have to see here. This is going to be a Trevenant. So, Tropius has solid amount of play here. I can get my opponent's... I get my opponent pretty close to out here with the Aerial Ace combo with, oh my god, I can't speak, dude. The brain was just trying to think of words. Just listen to me ramble. This is why sometimes I wish I could edit. So my opponent tries to catch an Aerial Ace here, and I immediately noticed that, well, I didn't immediately notice anything, bro. Just go back and watch the VOD. It was a lot more entertaining than me talking in circles. Oh my goodness, my brain is off, dude. I had a long day. I had to go to the doctor today. Had to go to the doctor, get some x-rays on a foot injury that I've got, man. It's been a long day, so forgive the brain just deciding it needs to go off somewhere else. Anyway, y'all saw, though, we tried to anticipate the swap in that last game. It paid off. We farmed down the Tropius. We were able to get the Aerial Aces. Tropius is really good into Trevenant. I love it in this meta, especially... you know, when it comes to the amount of people running things like Trevenant. Now, if you don't have a Tropius, you could certainly run the Trevenant instead, but I genuinely feel like Tropius is just the best option here. So once again, we're catching a double resisted move. The opponent's staying in with the Empoleon here, and I'm just looking to continue to play this out the exact same way as last time. When they throw that Drill Peck, they stay in. I will go ahead and shield it, and then the opponent brings in the Tropius. Now this time, I'm going to learn my lesson, and I'm going to go for the Outrage, because surely they don't shield this, right? Yeah, they do. It's like every time I throw the Outrage, they know to shield, and every time I throw the Octazooka, they're like, that's okay, man. I'm not going to shield this. I know what this is. It's a bait. And then I let my Kingdra go down here. So I'm going to come back in with Empoleon because I have a bunch of energy, and that's why I really like being able to swap out in that Empoleon mirror, because you basically come in with a move loaded, and I try to catch a Leaf Blade here, but my opponent's showing good patience, holds onto the energy, and is going to hit me with an Aerial Ace. Now, thankfully, because of the bulk on Tropius, I don't have to shield an Aerial Ace. It's kind of uncomfy being at this HP range and not knowing what's in the back, but kind of just have to manage, and the opponent has a Golisopod. Once again, have to make sure that they're not going to catch on me, and in this case, thankfully, they don't. But we're getting pretty close to getting them down to half health here, which means the Aerial Ace should be more than enough to KO from here. It's super effective. I'm going to let this go because it could be... If it's Aerial Ace, I'm hoping it's not enough because the bulk, but my opponent now goes into the Empoleon to catch. So now, my only win condition here is if my Empoleon can get to a Drill Peck, which it should be able to, especially because I still have a shield. We're going to get to the Drill Peck, and that's going to do more than enough damage here to take out the Golisopod and take this game. Well played to the opponent, and that is the final game in what I believe was... I think I went 22-7-1 with this team overall, over 6 sets. Over 217 ELO was the exact number. It was 2350 to 20... What is it? I finished the day at 2567. So this team is incredible. Go check out the VOD from the Monday stream here on the channel. I always keep them uploaded. And full write-up in the Discord. Again, I'm just going to plug the Discord real quick. For those of you who are still here, thank you. If you'd like to support the channel, I always shill it, but check out the link in the description of the pinned comment for joining the Discord, which has write-ups, meta-analysis, teams, everything basically early before it hits YouTube. So it also supports my family in that way as well. So thank you all so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.